I'm Lydia.
I'm Ed.
We're friends with a playlist for everything. And it turns out we both have one called Survival Songs.
And it got us thinking, what are other people's survival songs?
So we thought we'd find out.
Welcome to Survival Songs,
A podcast where each episode our guest tells us about a song that gets them through the best and worst of times.
sensitive topics might be discussed.
So look after yourself.
The show contains portions of copyrighted material.
We'd love for you to support and celebrate the artists by streaming, downloading and buying their brilliant music. And go give our guests a follow on social media.
Help us grow the community of survival song listeners by joining us over on Substack and add to our public playlist on Spotify. Links are in the show notes.
We hope you enjoy the show. Hello, welcome back to Survival Songs. It's Lydia again this week, and I'm really delighted to be talking to my friend Anders this week. Anders and I met on a course 3 or 4 years ago, maybe longer actually. And it was one of those situations where we were flung into a breakout room on Zoom together and had the kind of conversation that we knew was starting a friendship. Since then, we've had regular conversations, mostly over the internet, although last year we met in person in Sweden, which was a brilliant thing. And I really value the conversations that we have about art, about writing, and occasionally about music, which is why I invited Anders to be on the podcast. The bio that he sent is very sparse, but of himself, Anders says that he is a playwright, dramaturg and translator based in Strängnäs in Sweden. I hope I got the pronunciation right there, Anders. These days, he splits his time between teaching dramatic writing at Stockholm University of the Arts and freelance writing, which he's being very coy about here. His freelance writing is a beautiful thing, as is his music choice. It's Bobby Malone Moves Home by Casiotone for the Painfully Alone.
Hey Bobby Malone, it's good to have you home. So you tried your own route and it didn't work out. Well, you're not alone.
So that was a little bit of Bobby Malone Moves Home by Casiotone for the Painfully Alone. What a beautiful set of words to say one after another.
Right.
That was very fun. Yeah, it really is. Thanks, Anders. That's the survival song of our guest today, Anders Duus. Hello.
Hello.
Tell me about this song, Anders. I've never heard it. I've been listening to it all afternoon. It's fascinating. I want to hear all about it. But when did you first come across it?
I think I was down a rabbit hole listening to like bedroom covers of Mountain Goats songs, as you are occasionally. And I came across a young man who was playing a Mountain Goats song on a really dinky small keyboard. And he was really good. And he also had a recording of a Casiotone for the Painfully Alone song. Not this one, but another one. And I just liked the name. So I kind of looked it up. And Bobby Malone Moves Home was the first song that sort of came up as I looked it up in my streaming service. And so I put it on, and I'm fairly sure I cried first time I heard it. Yeah, it's stayed with me since.
We've shared a lot of music in our friendship. And so I had sort of inklings of what you might choose or why you might choose it. And we talk a lot about lyrics and or settings for using music. We've talked about protest songs. We share music in different languages. I'm fascinated to know what made you choose this as a survival song. What gave it that sort of status or title?
I think that, being a fan of the podcast and having heard a lot of people presenting their survival song, I kind of one simple answer is I wanted to sort of take my own angle on it a little bit, maybe. But I think also that this song really encapsulates two really important things regarding survival for me. And the first one is the concept of home and being welcomed home. I think welcome home is it's my favorite phrase in the whole world. Nothing makes me feel as warm and happy and safe as the phrase welcome home. So that's one part of it, and the other part is that it's a song about accepting failure, and sort of that failure isn't necessarily a horrible thing, but maybe necessary for growth. And this is something that I'm struggling a lot with in my life. So I think that those two things combined makes this a song that speaks very, very profoundly to me in all its simplicity. It packs a punch for me.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. I found listening to it multiple times. I heard something different every time I listened, but it's really useful, isn't it, to have this character of Bobby Malone, because he's talking to him about him the whole time, while also going, oh, that's me, oh, that's also them, oh, that's all of us.
Right.
Are you listening to this song regularly, or is it something you reach for at a particular time with purpose?
I think it appears on numerous playlists I have, and not necessarily, a song that I sort of reserve for special occasions, but it tends to bring me into a certain kind of mood when I hear it. So I think that whenever I hear it, I kind of tend to need it, if that makes sense. So even though it isn't put in the context necessarily that deals with, everyday hardship or whatever, it kind of feels like a little bit of a warm hug when I come across it.
I'm still lingering on the fact that "welcome home" is your favorite phrase. I didn't know that. That's really,
isn't that a beautiful phrase?
So beautiful, and I'm sitting with it in a way that I haven't, because you've pointed at it for me. It makes me wonder. It makes me want to ask the question about whether there's a bit of this song that you wait for, or a bit that you kind of go, oh, there it is. That's my part. That's my line.
I mean, the song is basically about, someone who's sort of left their hometown to go out and try their own route. And as the song says, it didn't work out. And they sort of come home with a tail between their legs a little bit. And the single line that always makes me sort of draw a ragged breath is "How you have grown."
How you have grown.
Sort of acknowledging that despite the whole project being a failure, acknowledging that you're coming home different, you're coming home bigger somehow. So that's really one of the parts that really gets me. And also I think that just these sort of this dinky piano that comes in between the verses is, to me, in all its spikiness, it's really beautiful. But I think the phrase "how you have grown," it's really, there's so much love in that.
You alluded to it earlier a little bit, but what does survival mean for you, particularly in relation to this song?
Survival to me can really be a very literal thing. Is in the way sort of finding purpose to stick around. As basic as that. But also the foundation of being something more than that. Which is where, coming back to "Welcome Home," I think, having a place, having a context, a place where you can go to sort of lick your wounds, but also a place where you can emerge from. And
that's where this song takes you to?
Yeah. I mean, it obviously just sort of, it just touches on one aspect of that. I mean, it's really, this song is really a station on a journey, isn't it? I mean, we have no idea where Bobby Malone goes from here. And it could be, he makes the same mistake over and over and over again. But there is, to me, this is a song that at least has the hope of growth in it, has the hope of sort of being accepted, and from that acceptance, finding a bravery, I think.
Can you talk to me a bit about storytelling? Because you're a playwright and an educator. You must have come across the best and the worst of storytelling, and then you've chosen a song that has images and a main character, and feels very filmic to me.
Yeah,
in a way that lots of people haven't. So there's clearly something important to you in that. What's why is storytelling important to you, and what makes good storytelling? Maybe to
me, storytelling is really one of the things that perhaps makes us interesting as a species. is that we do that, and that we use stories to make sense of the world we live in. To me, stories have always been a way of understanding or of trying new thoughts and trying new ideas, and also maybe feeling less alone at times. To me, story is very connected to the ground. Is very connected to be grounded rather than flying or drifting or up in the air. Story to me is trudging through the undergrowth in Wellingtons, maybe. That's a way of moving that makes sense to me. I don't think I understand things without story. I think it's as simple as that.
That makes every sense to me. And it also makes sense to me as someone who knows you as a person who responds to the season, and you pick mushrooms in particular parts of the year, and you spend a lot of time outside with your kids. And I wonder how much that sensibility is impacted by your culture and your country and your hometown and all of these kinds of things.
I mean, I don't think there's a people on the world that don't consider themselves to be storytellers. I mean, I think that's that's really basic human nature. But I think that there is those things that you describe are also a way of feeling your way in the world, maybe, and also a way of creating memories together. And memories are stories, I think.
It's been really gorgeous to have this conversation.
Yeah, it's been lovely talking to you.
Anything that you would like to point our audience towards in terms of work that you've made, ideas you're having? How would people find out more about what you've done and what you're doing?
I have very little work available in English, unfortunately. I mean, a few of my plays have been translated, but mostly into other languages than English. If you are curious about me, I think the best place to go look is perhaps my publisher, my agency, which is colombine.se, COLOMBINE.se. They have all my plays. There are about 50 of them. Yeah, something like that.
Have a sit down, Anders. What are you doing? That's busy. Just out of interest, what other languages have they been translated into, if not English?
I have been translated into, well, the Nordic languages, so Norwegian and Finnish, Russian, Latvian, German.
Wow.
Spanish, Cantonese.
No way.
Yeah, there's. I have a play that is being revived for the third time in Hong Kong.
Oh my goodness, that's so exciting. Well, thank you for this, and thank you for this.
Thank you so much.
We really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you want to support the podcast further, you can choose to upgrade your subscription on Substack. But most of all, we'd just love it if you told your friends about what we're up to. Thanks for listening.